Welcome to the NEC Women in Business series. At NEC, we'd like to take the opportunity to celebrate the social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women around the globe. And throughout this series, we'll be talking to women from NEC and highlighting their experiences, knowledge and mindsets within business. Today, I have with me Gurleen Knight, Global Head of HR, COE. Gurleen joined NEC in May 2020 and is the Global Head of HR COE. Before joining NEC, Gurleen has over 20 years' experience across diverse industries, including professional services, education, banking, manufacturing, and telecommunications. Gurleen has had the experience of living in 4 countries: India, Singapore, Australia, and England. This experience of living in diverse cultures has been fundamental in developing her leadership ethos. Gurleen believes that one of the keys to achieving global high-performing cultures is to create an inclusive environment and one that celebrates diversity. Thanks for joining me today, Gurleen. As a global leader, what do you think is integral to creating a productive global work environment?
Obviously, no workspace is the same, and a dynamic and positive work environment, in my opinion, will include a number of factors. But the one thing I place probably more value on anything is creating a work environment that's filled with mutual trust. And what I mean by that is where every employee, they feel valued, they feel motivated. And in my language, it is about treating team members, colleagues as adults. And I want to talk a little bit more around what does being valued and trusted actually look like. It's about empowerment. So leaders have a really big role to play actually in creating that environment. Again, in my experience, in my personal experience, in my work experience, coaching other executive leaders, C-suite leaders empower by sharing the bigger picture. We all know how we feel when we have leaders that actually give us that empowerment opportunity.
What role does diversity play in creating a high-performing culture, if any?
Diversity, inclusion, they're all terms that come up a lot, but I find that people define them so differently. So when I talk diversity, I talk about individuals from different backgrounds, cultures, genders, sexual orientation. I'm also talking about people though with differing values, different styles to us, different personalities and different ways of working. So in my experience, diversity within a team statistically is shown to increase productivity in the workplace time and time again. But we don't see it being used, being leveraged all the time. Yet we know success is very rarely the result of one individual. It's not always easy, frankly, working with people that are truly diverse because, hey, it's you can't just put your idea forward and it's going to be accepted.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. I've taught myself to be a bit more vulnerable over the last 5 years or so. When I worked with PricewaterhouseCoopers, all of a sudden I was part of this big consulting team with many people from different countries and different ethnicities. Probably my first role actually, where I saw that level of diversity. And so that was really good learning. But what I learned about in PwC was we had to actually value each other's inputs not just by accepting it blindly, but by having a tough dialogue at times, saying, look, actually, Kylie, I don't understand that point of view that you're putting forward. Can we talk about it? Or, asking someone, where are you actually coming from? What experience are you putting on the table?
Could you share your observations on the lack of females in the STEM sector and, any key actions that we could encourage to get greater female representation?
I've been thinking about it, about how do I introduce my daughter Zara to this whole topic. So one of the things that I think is really important is educating parents about their role, actually starting the dialogue at home, exposure to STEM at home, break it down. That's one. So educating parents. Second point, parents, schools, organizations should talk more about STEM female role models. How often do I hear a female name quoted in the STEM industry? Only when I Google it. Third, this is an observation, but I'll follow it up with some examples. Media representation. Some of our media colleagues need a little bit of a reminder that their news, their articles need updating. female leaders have made significant impact in the tech industry, in the science industry, engineering industry. Ginny Rometty, who was the CEO of IBM. So Ginny was an early computer science graduate in the 70s. Again, did I hear about her? Not really. She joined IBM as a systems engineer. She then became an SVP of marketing and strategy in 2009, and she actually led IBM into cloud computing, analytics, commercialization of IBM Watson, and she was IBM's CEO from 2012 to 2020. Yet, for what it's worth, Kylie, I still hear about the previous historical male CEOs. I think there is one thing that is a bit more serious that I do want to mention that also comes to mind around how do we, address the lack of female representation in these industries. I think it's about also continuing to have an open dialogue, but challenging assumptions and norms that certain industries are better suited to men, but also proactively supporting women who enter STEM industries.
Gurleen, many thanks for your time and your fantastic insights into your experience within business. It's been fantastic being able to sit down and have a chat with you and hear about your experience and your thoughts about women in business, especially within NEC.
Thank you, Kylie. It's been a pleasure, really. I love dialogue like this, but as I said, action-oriented.
Join us in the next episode of this series to hear from other females within NEC and their varied experiences within business.